Welcome to the DomJake podcast, where we embark on a journey of engaging conversations, sharing our unique perspectives, and exploring a wide range of topics. I'm Jake, the seasoned driver with days of experience behind the wheel.
And I'm Dom, the eager learner, ready to delve into exciting discussions and gain valuable insights from Jake's masterful expertise. In today's episode, we're diving into the world of the driving as Jake takes on the role of my trusted mentor.
That's right, Dom. Driving is not just a means of transportation, it is an art that opens up a world of possibilities. I'm here to guide you, share my knowledge, and help you become a confident and skilled driver.
Oh boy, can't wait.
Now, I have been a professional certified driver in the state of, well, all the United States since the 29th last month. A good, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 20 days, not to toot my own horn, but beep beep. I'm virtually better than you in every way.
Oh man, I am so intimidated, but I'll be driving in no time.
Joking aside, though, yeah, that is true. I have been certified to drive for technically 2 years, but that's as a permitted driver instead of a license. Now I have my license and lawfully can take a car myself for a spin. We will be talking about driving cars in a road safe manner and hopefully help you out with tips and tricks. Maybe help you get motivated to start your own journey. Ready to start?
Yes, I am.
On your mark, get set, go. Do you want to actually drive ever?
I do eventually, but one of these days I'm willing to sign up for my permit.
Right, because I
And
forgot you don't even have that one yet. Um,
but
However,
I don't know.
right now you are a part of nearly 16% of the United States citizens who don't have a license yet. And of that percentage of people, you're part of the 19%. Since you're 20 to 24 years of age, it's neat that you want to get on the road yourself, as in this nation, you kind of pretty much have to. It's kind of built for driving, you could say. Um, 89% of people can and do actually drive. If you don't, then you'll basically be relying on other means of transport to get places.
Hmm. Like what? Like riding a bicycle? Like
Yeah, but do you want to really ride a bicycle for 5 hours in the snow or something, right?
uh, probably not in the snow, but probably even in probably in the at least like mild weather, but also not enough
For
to make me
five
dehydrate.
hours?
Maybe not for 5 hours. Nah, hell no. I'm not
Okay,
doing
well,
5 goddamn hours of what like make very strong legs now.
jeez. Yeah, buns and ties.
Yes. Yes.
Regardless of how you feel, though, I'll attempt to get you excited and at least a little bit more prepared for this whole journey. I'm not a qualified instructor, but I did pretty much just go through a lot of this within the last 2 years. What better way to learn than from a freshly passed driver?
Hey, but at least you got some experience, so hey, why not?
Starting out with the beginning, have you ever been a passenger in a vehicle?
Let me think. Of course.
Of course you have.
Of
How
course.
long do you think?
Probably since I was still shitting in Pampers.
Nice.
But but you get the point. But yes, I've been a passenger my whole life.
You've been a passenger your whole life. How long have you been in the front instead
Hmm.
of the back?
Probably for about almost 13 years.
13, yeah, that seems about right because your mom, well, I should say your parents, seem to be law-abiding citizens. They didn't strap you to the roof of their truck, did they?
I would, I would not. I would be miserable.
Just like they drive you down a rocky like dirt road, and so you're just
Last time I checked, I'm not a kayak. I'm a person.
right. Kayak, isn't that the travel the travel agency that is not
Uh,
sponsored?
yeah. Well, we ain't sponsored, by the way, kids.
All right, so Dom, I'm gonna do this since you've been a passenger for a long time, and let's say you've had 7, 8 years of in the front seat experience, about there, probably you would say, right?
Probably.
Let's do something here. I have compiled a basic beginner quiz. Don't worry, I think you'll pass it, but this will be 10 questions that I think you should be able to pass. Little easy questions to see if you're, let's say, ready to start this journey. I might even throw in a few of them just to be cheeky, so it might be more than 10. But I have 10 that I wrote down, let's just say. Are you ready to take it?
Yes, I am.
All right. Question number 1. What does a red traffic light indicate?
Well, it means stop.
Are there any exceptions to that rule?
Well, at least I know here. At least we do the right on red, but that's only if it's that depending on the road it is too. So you're allowed to go right on red if no cars are coming by. But
Yes, if it is safe to do so, you can turn on the red. But since it is a red, should you still stop, or are you able to just go right through it?
no, you should still stop and make sure there's no like cars flying by. Obviously, it's a red light. You should stop.
Okay, sure, yeah. I'll give you that. Good old question number 1 is done. You get a check mark there.
Awesome.
Hmm. This one might be a little bit harder for you. What does a yield sign mean?
Well, kind of what I explained with the right on red. Although it's not the same thing, but yield for other vehicles. You look, make sure no cars are coming. And then if no cars, you can get out right on that road.
That's essentially, yeah. Um, the word yield on the sign anyway means give way or concede. It
Oh yeah.
basically it basically tells you just be careful. Someone else probably has the right of way, but you're still a car that exists.
Yep. You're just a hunk of metal, but anyways, yeah, it's pretty much you're making sure you have the right of way. Make sure no cars are coming by. You don't want an accident.
Okay, cool. Um, this is one that I didn't write down. What shape is a yield sign?
Um, here's that. I'll answer that by asking this question. Kind of goes back to the gaming episode. What shape is like the one of the PlayStation symbols, which is the green one? Okay, just kidding. No, it's like it's a triangle.
You're making that more complicated than it needed to be.
No, it's a triangle. I don't know. I don't even know where to go from there, but
Because I
no,
was
seriously.
gonna say, oh, you mean like a circle?
Nope.
All right, well,
No.
yeah, you do have that one. For I guess bonus points. What what way is that triangle shaped?
It's like it's pointing down.
It's pointed down. Okay, cool. Equilateral, isosceles, or scaling?
Uh, 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 octagon,
And I'm just kidding about that.
obtuse,
You,
acute.
you already got that. You already got it. It's yes, acute, equilateral.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect.
Number 3, a little bit easier than a yield side, I I think. What is the purpose of a stop sign?
Well, I mean, this may be obvious to those who drive, but for those who don't know,
Oh, you'll be
stop.
surprised.
But stop means stop. When stop, if you see a stop sign, that means stop your car. If there's a traffic light, like, and I mean, depending on where it is, it's kind. I mean, it's not exactly. I mean, you still want to. Hmm. Let me just explain it like this. Like it's not exactly yield, but it's also there's no traffic light either. But you still have to stop. Like, okay, cars coming on this side of the road. Okay, I can go on this side. There's no cars coming this way. You can go that way. I mean, I'm sure you could probably get what I'm saying.
I mean, I get what you're saying because I've spoken to you for at least 5 years now. I get what you mean, but I'm afraid of listeners.
Yeah, stop means yeah, stop means stop at the road. And then
Right on,
just
right on.
right away.
I'll give that to you. So far you haven't failed one yet. I'm curious if you'll fail this one because surprisingly a lot of people do. At least close to here anyway.
All right, let's
What
see what this one is.
what should you do when approaching a school zone?
Well, well, you don't want to. Well, you know how like, are you so like? Is this like when how like when a like the bus kind of like when the bus stops when there's like kids coming out of the
Well, so a bus stop doesn't necessarily mean it's close to a school. That's
no,
just
I meant
like a
like.
random road where people happen to live.
Of course, you want. Oof. Well, I guess I'm not as skilled for this, but
I'm talking about like pretty much within like a, I don't want to say 2 mile radius of a school. Maybe it's a little bit different, but
you don't want to be flying down the road. I'm assuming. So,
I will give you that, but could you maybe go further with that to get full credit?
so it's like a school zone. So I guess you want to be cautious if there's kids like around you, because yeah, you want to make sure there's no kids like in the middle of the road. You want to drive slowly. Not that there should be kids in the road.
Not that there should be, but you never know. Everybody is unpredictable. So school zones aren't just something where kids are; it's where adults can go
Yeah,
too, because
there's
there are
teachers.
there are custodians, there are teachers, there are parents, there are, siblings who happen to be there too, or maybe even just neighbors. Anywhere where there's like a big populated area, especially like an educational place where a lot of people will go, a lot of younger, unpredictable people who
Mm-hmm.
might not necessarily know that you're supposed to look both ways, or might not know that you're not supposed to just dive into the road to get your soccer ball that rolled away, right? Like there are definitely people more often than not they are children who just go in the middle of the road out of nowhere. So it's I will give you credit there. You are not supposed to speed up. You're supposed to actually go a little bit slower than even the speed limit would be. It's just a school zone. You gotta go slow. You know.
Yes, you want to be. I mean, you don't want to be like a snail, but you want to be slow, but you want to be still slow enough.
What color? And this is another one that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. What color are the school zone signs?
I would guess yellow.
You would guess correctly. Okay, cool, cool. When, wow, a voice crack. When should you use your headlights?
Well, either when it's raining or when it's like nighttime.
No other condition?
I mean, you want to or like cloudy. Just
Yeah, cloudy, foggy, yeah.
I think when it's raining, you legally have to use the headlights or like the running lights.
You're talking about the high beams or the low beams?
I'm talking about like the higher was talking about like the high beam, like or like right in the. It's kind of close to the center, but it's near. But I don't know. It's centered. I really. I mean, I'd have to show you a picture to like to explain it better. But
Okay, tell you what, if you can remember this, while I don't know, sitting on a Adirondack chair in the middle of an island. Next week, maybe you can send me a screenshot with what you mean.
no, but I'm saying I think the high beams. I think you're supposed to leave on if it's like foggy, rainy, or nighttime too. I think that's like my best answer for you.
So if that is your best answer, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I don't exactly know if I understood you correctly or not, but if I do understand what you're saying, then I'm gonna say this might be the first one that you got wrong. Maybe. I might need I might need you to like I don't know text me something or something later what you actually mean, but I'm gonna say that that is wrong because of the fact that the high beams at night that really affects people.
Hmm.
I mean, there might be some difference between like a rural road versus like a an urban road maybe or a suburb, but I could be misunderstanding what you said, but I think you got this one wrong. I
I'm just
think. Or
what
at least
you're.
somewhat wrong if I misunderstood it. But
No, but it's saying you have not like you know how you got the fog lights and then you got the regular headlights. No. The low beams you turn on.
the low beams are pretty much on like regardless. Like they are always on
Yeah,
really.
like I know in the
Unless
when
if
it.
you unless if you like power off the car itself. But but yeah, you know what? I'll I'll put a pin in question number 6. Wait, no, in number 5 because you did offer a lot of the reasons why you should use them, but Um, I threw in the high beams or low beams as an extra credit one, which technically you're still 100% then. So, okay. Moving on to the next one. What does a solid yellow line on the road mean?
That means you cannot pass. You cannot. Like, you do a U-turn. You can't. It's like one of those. Like a. It's kind of like a. I don't know. It's kind of like a barrier, but not.
It's a barrier kind of in between
The
the
double line.
well, not, it's like a barrier that separates the. I want to see if you could get the words. Uh, it's separate. Okay. You know, I don't need you to say the words oncoming versus incoming.
Yep. I knew it. Incoming
It's,
traffic, oncoming
it's
traffic.
basically a yellow line painted or taped or whatever the heck it is on the road to signify that this side should stay on this side should stay on that side. How about what does a dashed yellow line mean?
A dashed yellow line. Oh, it's like one of those. Hmm. This one might be. Okay, now it's kind of like one of those. Hmm. I know. I know. I mean, you could probably go on that, but I don't know. You can't at the same time.
It's of course the dashed yellow line was also one of my extra credit ones. Um, so no points are being lost here, but dashed yellow line is when safe, you are able to cross over into the other side
That's what I was
legally
trying to say.
to pass somebody. You'll usually see that if a sign on the road says no pass zone or something like that, do not pass, but something, um, that would signify that it is a solid line after the dashed line. Like it is too late, you can't pass anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, I'll get into the exceptions after, uh, far down. Okay, this one is probably the hardest one on my pre-test. What is the legal blood alcohol concentration limit for drivers in most states?
Oh, is this like that? Is that kind of that test that you blow into something?
Yes, that measure the breathalyzer measures that. Yes.
I think I remember in health class we learned something like that, but I don't remember what the number was.
Oh yeah, you have seen it. Um, do you want to just say that you failed this one, or do you want to
I
throw a guess out?
I think I failed that question because I honestly, I remembered it, but now I don't.
More often than not, every state has a .08
Oh,
limit.
that's it. That's it.
I knew you were gonna go, oh, that's it, because it is one of those
Those
numbers
kind
that kind of stick with you, but you don't know where you heard it, right? It's like, why does .08 stick out to me?
because it's that thing.
That's why, right?
Yeah, because when you, oh yeah, it's from the show Cops.
Speaking of .08, or should I say question 8, what does a flashing red traffic light signify?
The flashing red traffic light.
Yep.
Is it like, you can go, but it's like, it's saying it's. Is it not like? Is it like similar to like a yellow, like slow down light? Or I'm thinking.
Mm, it doesn't act the same as the yellow.
I was like saying stop now before it becomes solid red, but I've never heard. Honestly, I might have seen it, but I don't remember seeing those flashing red lights.
It seems that you did kind of get that one a little bit incorrect. A flashing red signal is basically the same sort of thing as a stop sign. Kind of. After stopping, proceed when safe and observe the right-of-way rules. It's it's a light form of of a stop sign. You still should stop on it, but you don't have to stop there forever, sort of deal. You just proceed when you think it's safe.
All right.
So, sorry to say, but definitely you didn't get all of the questions right. However, you did get most of them right. I still have two more on this little pretest, which I didn't think was going to take me this long to get through, but them's the breaks, quite literally.
Yeah.
What should you do when you see a pedestrian crossing the street?
Well, I mean, pretend that's like a walking stop sign. You just stop, wait for the pedestrian to go, like walk across the street, or yeah, pretty much that. At least as far as I know.
Okay, what should you do if they're not on a crossing block?
Well, if there's a traffic light, stop anyways. I guess.
You stop anyways.
Well, unless
Pedestrians
if
are the
there's
king
a
of the
traffic light, but
road.
if there's not, if no, but if there's not, you can go. But unless there's a traffic light above you.
Nope. Legitimately, pedestrians are the kings of the road, really. Um, no matter where it is, even even though it might be very aggravating, and I say this from 20 days of experience, at least from the time of recording this, because we're probably going to be what 10 days later or something like that. But um, even though it might be aggravating, you have to pretty much stop for them anyway, unless if they say like, or they'll maybe signal you. They could be like, no, you go, you go. I'll take a long time
Yeah,
crossing the street.
I mean,
You go instead.
I'll let the guy or girl go if they need to go. I'm not
Oh, I
gonna.
mean, like you definitely should because that's the law.
I mean, I'm not
Um,
gonna. This is not a game of Grand Theft Auto, so you can't just run them over.
And it's not like they're the stars of Frogger, where it's like they're trying to cross while traffic is moving and traffic doesn't stop for them, right? It's not
Mm-hmm.
like Frogger. Mm. So I will say, I will bump you up to that one. You did say something that I didn't even think about, but like a walking stop sign. That's neat. I didn't think of that, and that's essentially true. Yeah,
Yeah, so like they're pretty much saying, hey, I mean, unless they let you go, you have to stop.
essentially, yeah. Um, it might be something even where, once again, I'll get into this a little bit later. So you know what? I'll move on. Um, last question here. Um, I'm actually gonna think about something. You know what? Let's go out with a bang.
All right.
Hmm. When should you use your turn signals?
Whenever you're gonna make a turn.
Only then?
Well, or if you're changing lanes,
Jamie Lance, okay. Um, only those two?
or just like, what about what if the road is the road itself turns? Nah, I don't. I mean, they all. It's not like you're. I mean, even if nobody's there, it's still good practice to use a turn signal.
Oh, definitely. I agree with you with that one. But is it only those two sections?
Probably not just that, but that's so far as
Can you
far as
think
I
of a third
know.
one? Okay, that's all you know. So one area that you could do it is where you might not be turning or exactly merging, but let's say you're able
Or
to park. Oh, I don't want to cut you off. I don't want to say it before you might get it.
is it the that the hazards
The
where
hazard,
they're
yeah,
all
that I wouldn't count that as a turn signal because it flashes like all of it.
mm,
So it seems like it's safe for me to actually say. So let's just say there might be a road that you're able to park on. Some roads you can't park on the side, but some roads you can. If you're going to park, take a little turn signal, and sometimes if you're not going to if you're not gonna turn the car off and actually leave, you would leave like the turn signal up to signify that you are still on this side and you have no intention of moving yet. Um,
mm,
if that makes any sense.
hmm.
Might be easier to show you if like I was to take you and like show you what I mean. You
Hmm.
could also do that in your 3 point or your K turn, which I might get into a little bit later. Um,
All right.
so so yeah, overall, your pretest shows that you have good knowledge, and in fact, some of the bonus questions you answered pretty
Nice.
nicely. I will say you you're a certified passenger. I'll say that you do know some terms. You knew oncoming. You knew what the shapes of the signs were, unless if you were looking them up, which I'm gonna trust that you didn't, but it's
I never.
possible.
No, but I've always observed a lot when I'm like riding as a passenger.
Now, something to think about because this was certainly a problem for me. Um, sometimes whenever you're a passenger with, let's say, somebody, I'll say you're a passenger like 20 years of your life with Mr. Bob, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, what if Mr. Bob hasn't been doing things the right way? So you have been watching Mr. Bob do these things and you think, oh, that's the right way to do things because the only person who's driven me has done things this way. And then you fail your test because you were following Mr. Bob's teachings who was doing the wrong thing versus like an instructor or whatever versus the right way to do things.
I would question how Mr. Bob even got his license if he can't even drive correctly.
I mean, that happens sometimes, man. That happens.
I mean, unless Mr. Bob is what, like a geriatric who can't drive anymore, that's another possibility.
Definitely. I mean, um, let's do. Let's move on to like a few facts. Um, I'll spew some facts for you to just listen to. These aren't exactly lessons. These are just fun little facts, interesting little factoids. Um, so you don't really need to jot these down because none of this is going to be on like a real test, including the actual like permit test, which you have to go through. Um, a factoid in the United States, each state has its own set of traffic laws and regulations, including speed limits and driving age requirements. So, I mean, yes, I know you're in this particular state, which I will not mention, but if you just go over one state, sometimes the rules are a little bit different. And actually, a lot of the times, okay, some of the times you even have to get the other state's driver's license to actually operate things. Sometimes you're able to use the same one that you got in your original state, but sometimes you have to actually go through the effort of taking another lesson, taking another driving lesson to actually get a, like, what do you want to call it, a real ID in the other state.
That's that I didn't really know. I knew that there's different like driving like laws, but I didn't know you had to like maybe get a like do like another like test if you wanted a license for there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, you have to get a different, you have to go through a different process and actually relearn how to drive if you want to, let's say, move to a different country to do things. You have to know how they do things over there too. A lot of the basics seems to be the same idea, just maybe sometimes flipping the driver's side versus the oncoming side.
Yeah, well now and then and also like the roads you have to travel the opposite side.
Right. Stuff like that, where like the driver's side over here in the United States is on the left, but you driving on the right. Sometimes it is literally the inverse. And some little fun fact, because I actually went to Hawaii like last year and actually like 10 years ago too. So that was like the second time I went. Actually, no, not last year. I think it was just like 6 months ago or something like that. So I don't know, something. Um, a little fun fact, since Hawaii is kind of in the middle of the United States and Southeast Asia, you kind of have like weird little instances of you might be in traffic and the car next to you has the other side driver's seat. So it's like you might have to like worry about seeing a right side driver. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same sort of thing as long as everyone obeys the same rules. I don't think it matters what side the driver's seat is on, but
Mhm.
as long as it works for them, right?
Mhm. Interesting.
Another fact, the Dwight D. Eisenhower National System of Interstate and Defense Highways, named after Eisenhower, was inspired by the efficient road networks he observed in Germany during World War II. We wouldn't have a lot of these roads and highways, interstates, if it wasn't for World War II,
Mhm.
or at least Eisenhower's involvement over there. Let's just say.
All right. Inter- There's a lot. It's definitely a lot of info.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, it also kind of doubled as like a runway sort of thing, because it was kind of like at a time where a lot of the planes just needed to land, so they just land on the interstates, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
All right. So.
So I will give you a real world example of how at least my permit test went. And this is your step one, or I guess your step two, because your step one was yes, I want to get started, right? All right. So on Zoom for like 4 or 8 hours, something like that, you basically learned about drugs affect. So you'll pretty much be looking at your 0 point, no, your 0.08 again. Um, you'll be looking at that probably at the DMV whenever you're taking your test. But yeah, you have to go through like an 8 hour course that they sign like on a dotted line or something that says yes, you passed. You took this little class. I think it's probably going to be in person instead of Zoom because
Well,
well,
now.
it's after 2 years, so it's not going to be exactly the same as how I went to do it. But you will essentially be taking that 8 hour lesson, whether it's in person or on Zoom. I don't know. And once again, I'm only sharing you the way that they did it. I don't know how the other schools will do it, but overall, to get a permit, you have to know this stuff. So whatever school you use, you're gonna have to know, like the basics, like what color that stop sign is, the pretest that I gave you. Um, well, overall, the pretest, you pretty much have like a study guide of like 60 questions, and you get like a possible like 6 questions that's on there. And I think you can only miss one of them or something. So yeah, you have to pretty much study up because it's not going to be all of the questions. It's going to be some of them. So you could get lucky and already know them, and you could get very unlucky, and these are the 6 questions that you missed. Like, I don't remember these ones. Um, so it is definitely a luck thing too. So after your 8 hour course of pretty much your why not to be high? Why not to be tired? And like effects of road rage or whatever, all these various different things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you get that thing signed by the instructor, and that will basically tell you that you are allowed to take a permit test. You will go to one of the DMV locations in this area,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously with a payment because it's part of the government, and they're not just going to let anybody just go out on the road. You have to be able to pay them to use their resources, but you can take the test. They will give you a little vision test. Has this little box that kind of simulates far sight, but it's like a box that you bend over and look into.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird. It's not like a eye chart where it's like 5 feet away from you or something. It's literally like a 1 inch thing, but it simulates a far sight sort of thing. It's kind of fascinating to think about. But um, so if you pass that eyesight thing, you have that signature that says you did the 8 hour course. And you basically sit down at their computer. At least I did. I don't know. Maybe they gave you a clipboard because it's not like COVID exactly anymore. But they'll have you take the test and they get reviewed. And then if you pass, which I did surprisingly well, no, shoot, I had to go 3 times. because of the fact that it's government related. So you're gonna have to bring like what, two pieces of mail with your name on it.
Uh,
It can't
uh,
be it can't be like under somebody else's name. It has to be
mm-hmm.
directly to
Yeah.
you. So it's not like a stock paper where it's like, oh, it's to your dad, but your name is also under it, like a sub or whatever, like a sub name. I don't know what you would call it, but it has to be yours, like actual mail directed to you. So two forms of that. You need like either your like passport or birth certificate, or like or social. I think social security you need anyway, regardless. Um, you need that signature thing, that 8 hour course, and you need what, glasses if you need those, or contacts if you need those for the vision test. Um, I thought I needed them, but I haven't really been using glasses, even though I should, because I've technically been breaking the law because I haven't been really using my glasses to do it. I
Mm-hmm.
used them for the actual test because they wouldn't give me the test unless if I wore them, so I did. Um,
Um.
but anyway, let's say you pass that test, that permit test. They'll print out like a document that acts as like a temporary one. They already have your address. They will send it to you once it's actually printed out, but they will give you like a piece of paper that says, that will like explain to any of the cops that might see it what that means.
Um.
Here's roadblock number one, and I'm using roadblock because that that's on theme. Do not plan to travel like in an airport because TSA and the DMV do not correlate at all. They do not fall under the same guidelines. So if you are going to travel somewhere, be sure you have like the actual ID, not the printed out paper, because for all they knew, I could have just fudged the data on that paper and said, yes, this is my temporary permit. And I just made it in Photoshop or something. For all they
Mm-hmm.
know, I could have done that. So it was a little bit more of a hassle. It was like 30 more minutes when we were like on our way to a vacation. It wasn't the latest Hawaii one. It was like 2 years ago one. They don't have the same rules exactly, but that temporary piece of paper that they print out at the DMV does act as a permit. So if you are driving with that piece of paper with an already licensed person, then that technically counts if you were to get pulled over. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just my kind of rule of thumb, since it is a big hassle, just kind of wait until you actually have the permit to like, and I don't mean that temporary one. Like, actually wait until the real card comes in, because it's from words of the wiser, it's annoying to deal with like the paper one.
I'm sure it is. It's like they need to mail out.
Yeah, well,
Wait.
regardless,
Now you sound
after you,
normal.
sure, cool. Regardless, after that point, you have that temporary pass for the next week or two, sometimes three, maybe four, who knows, but you will get your actual permit in the mail. Uh,
That's good.
and and I mean, murder she wrote, I guess. You have the permit, so now you could drive with. I'm just gonna assume, but you could drive with your mom, your dad, your sister, maybe your brother.
Yep.
Are you the last one in your family to have
Yes, I
at
am.
least in your immediate? Yeah, okay. So you could pretty much bunk around with anybody. as long as they're in the car with you. Um, I guess technically you could also bunk around with me.
I see. I could, but yeah, they have to like have this much experience with driving before they then to like. I think whoever's gotta be, yeah, they have to have this much time experience with driving until before I just come in inside the car.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you're right with that. It was kind of under my. I assumed that as long as you had a license, you were just able to, be the other person in the passenger side. But
Wow.
whatever the reason or whatever the case, let's say you get your permit then, and that's perfect. You could bunk around with anybody who, I mean, safely you could bunk around with your parents anyway. If there is
My
a
siblings, yeah, I can. They can bunk around. I can bunk around with them.
yeah, you go that way. Um,
Yep.
so yeah,
I guess the next thing. I guess the next thing on the list.
yeah, we could do the next thing. Something that you'll get familiarized with after you have that permit. Let's say at this point you have the card in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to drive, but you have to have somebody with you. Part of driving is you've got to make sure that the vehicle is safe to operate. Mm. So,
And then you got the trans. Oh yeah, you got the transmissions to like. Oh yeah, you'd have to depending on what car it is too. Like if your car's an automatic or a manual, you also gotta. You may also want to practice on a manual, just so you got a hang of.
oh, I mean, definitely. So we, at least with that other uh, school that I used, um, all of it is manual. So you should get as much manual practice as you can. However, if you do use that school, if you wanted actual lessons, they will provide a car that is up to speed. It's one of those, driving school ones that say, student driver, and then the logo for the actual place. But
Mm,
yeah, I mean, if you use their system, you don't have to worry about if the car you're operating is okay because they already did all the okay things. I'm just going to share this in case you're not using the school. Mm,
all right.
at least for the rest of the way. I think you have to have a school lesson for the actual like to get a permit, but maybe not to get an actual license. But regardless of the fact, you got to perform a proper vehicle safety check. That is essential. I'll go through this a little bit quickly, even though it is essential, just because I don't want to spend 5 years on this section. You gotta do an exterior inspection,
Oh,
which would be checking the tires for all of the tire stuff. Gotta inspect the lights to make sure they work, because you can get pulled over if they are not functioning correctly.
mm,
You gotta look for any cracks or chips in the windshield or other windows that might obstruct your view. You gotta examine the condition of the wiper blades to make sure that they can clear the windshield.
right.
Moving on to the interior, gotta
Mm,
adjust your seat and mirrors to ensure that your position is optimal, because not everybody is the same height and not everybody operates the same way. Gotta fasten your seatbelt and make sure that everyone else is as well. Make sure it's in good condition with no signs of wear or damage. You gotta check that all the dashboard warning lights are functioning properly and there are no error messages. You gotta test the operation of essential controls such as the horn, wipers, turn signals, headlights, and interior lights, because you might need them. Make sure that the brakes, including the parking brake, engage and disengage smoothly. You also gotta check the engines, which usually is done with your transmission check. That's a lot of the time done at the auto mechanic, but if you don't have one, you gotta check the engine oil and the condition. You gotta replace the oil or top it up if necessary. Gotta inspect the coolant levels. You gotta check your brake fluid, power steering fluid, windshield washer fluid levels. Examine the battery for signs of corrosion damage. Make sure that it's securely mounted. Inspect the belts and hoses for any signs of wear, cracks, or leaks. You also gotta inspect under it too. That's also kind of done by the auto mechanic, but still sometimes you don't have that ability. So visually inspect the undercarriage of any signs of fluid leaks, such as oil, coolant, or brake fluid. Check the condition of suspension components, including the shocks, struts, and springs. Look for any loose or damaged exhaust system components. And then additional checks, because of course you have to do additional things. Are you lost yet? Well, great, because we have more things to do. Test the brakes by driving at the safe speed limit and gently applying them to ensure that they respond properly. Listen to any unusual noises while driving, such as grinding or squealing sounds. Pay attention to the steering, ensuring that it's responsive and that there are no unusual vibrations. Of course, this is a general guideline for vehicle safety. It's always recommended to consult your vehicle's owner manual for specific things that your car make and model might have that other ones might not. Do I
Yeah,
still hear you?
it's like it's almost like you're taking it's like you're taking care of a living being, but it's like a mechanical like electromechanical device.
Well, a lot of the time, since let's say at this point you are permitted, a lot of the times you don't have, 10 years of experience of actually checking this stuff. So a lot of the time the person with you would say, oh, sometimes you have to be careful because I don't know, whenever you're turning right, maybe the steering wheel locks up if you do it too far. So be careful of that. That's what maybe someone with you would say, or whatever. It's certainly a good thing to maybe tag along with the next time that you might have like I don't know, an auto mechanic looking at things. You might want to look at things, or
Hmm.
you call up the auto shop teacher. You might be able to call up Mr. Bob.
Mr. Bob the mechanic.
Yeah, I can fix it.
Ah, yes. Well, you can only fix the code, not cars.
Guess what? We're not even close to done.
Oof.
Is there anything that you want to say right now before I move on?
Well, all I could say is that sounds like it's not all fun and games when you're driving a car, like you thought as a kid. You're literally having to not only like look at one thing, you get also look after another.
You, of course, it's one of those skills that you kind of pick up over time. Like, I
Mhm.
genuinely didn't think I was going to
What
even
about
pass it.
how about like checking your AC inside a car?
That's okay. That's one of those extra things I would like to say because it's something where it's like it's not exactly preventing you from driving
Yeah,
anywhere.
it's not
You're not.
prevent. No, it's definitely
Yeah,
not.
you're not gonna get pulled over by a cop because you're roasting in your car or something.
No,
It's your prerogative.
it's just one of those. It's just one of. It's like a small thing, but it's not necessary if you're just trying to. It's not a thing that's gonna make your car like not work.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you could technically go without, but I can't go without. But people can go without it because also think about this one. Air conditioner might not even be a thing in the make and model that you have. Maybe it's just a window cracking that you gotta do.
Mm,
Sometimes you do what can.
yeah. So yeah. So it's like what are we like 25% done? Or
I'll bump that up to maybe 55%. So like pretty much over halfway, but still a lot. Um, I'll go through this next part right now. There are various controls within the vehicle. Um,
All right.
do you want to guess a few?
Various controls. You can just like kind of like the gear shift, like you know.
Right, that's one of them.
hmm Then you got the like the pedals, the get like the accelerators, like the like oh, because I think like reverse and like drive, I think it's the same pedal. I think, and then you also got a steer. What's a car without a steering wheel?
That's still right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then you got the brakes.
So you definitely do know. I mean, a fair bit of things. So I won't explain what these things are, but I'll just say the name, and I'm pretty sure you've heard them before. All right. Dashboard,
hmm
steering wheel, pedals, the accelerator, brake, and clutch. Clutch is usually in the manual stuff, not necessarily in the auto, but yeah, you got the gear shift, automatic, transmission, manual transmission. There are differences. You got seat adjustments, like the position, height, angle of the passenger side too. You got seat belts, rear view mirror, side mirrors, turn signal lever, headlights, windshield wipers, climate control system, audio system, power windows, door handles. These are, I mean, some of the primary components that most drivers and passengers interact with on like a pretty typical car. Keep in mind that some of the specific design and layout of these might vary between different vehicles. Yeah. You've certainly heard of all those words before, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I've learned. Yes, I've learned about these. Yes, yeah, especially being the passenger of the car, I would at least know pretty much a good percentage of it. Like, yeah, you want to make sure you got the windshield wipers going. Like if you have like dirty windows.
Right. Because
hmm
that could obstruct your view if you have
Yeah.
bird poo on your screen.
Yeah, and then oh yeah, speaking of the whole audio system, I got a little car fact for you.
Yeah, feel free.
And I think in the '80s is like the first time that we had a little screen in your car, like not like Buick was the first company. Hmm. I mean, well, I'm gonna do a
To
little
have
research.
that like family entertainment thing in the back
Yeah,
seat.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
no, it's like the like hold on, I know it's the
Oh, you mean the rear view camera thing?
no no
Like
no
the
no
reverse?
because I know there was it was like the first touchscreen that first ever touchscreen that was in the '80s. I know it was like a Buick that had I think it was hmm. And then I remember a Buick had I forgot what the name was it was called, but then they had to get rid of the Buick Rivera. And
You're,
it was the first
you're all over the place, man.
car to have like a touch screen. It was like green monochrome, but then I guess back then when people like they thought that the screen would distract the drivers, so they eventually got rid of it. And then I guess
Uh,
now I guess it's not the screen isn't I guess they're not concerned about that now as they were back then.
yeah, I mean, fair enough. Yeah. Let's move on to some things. I will audibly walk you through some common, let's say, maneuvers. All right. Some maneuvers that you will be experiencing, or I guess this one is the K turn or the 3 point. Doesn't matter what you call it, it's the same thing. All right. Step one with that, find a safe location where you have enough space to perform that maneuver. Signal and pull over to the right side of the road. That would be signal to the right and pull over to the right without going over the curb. That's important. Check for traffic in both locations, or directions, I should say. Turn the steering wheel completely to the left, all the way. So that's 2 full rotations. Reverse slowly while checking for traffic behind you. When you're at an angle facing the opposite direction, turn the steering wheel completely to the right. So all the way to the right. So that's 4 rotations because, you had 2 from the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is all the way to the right. Okay. Check for traffic again, and when clear, drive forward, completing the turn and aligning your vehicle in the opposite direction. The K turn or 3-point would basically be a way that you could turn around, a legal way you could turn around without, I guess, causing too much of a commotion.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been a passenger in a K turn?
Mm, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, like over 20 years, I'm pretty sure you have been.
There's no way.
Well,
There's no way I haven't.
I mean, whether or not the person driving you was doing the correct turn signals, that's maybe a different question, but you've definitely been in one.
There's no way. There's no way I haven't been a K turn all my whole life. I mean, I don't recall anything specific, but there's definitely a chance that I have.
Mm-hmm. All right. Um, let's just walk you through this one. Well, like I did the K turn, I was gonna ask you how to do it, but you know what? I'll just walk you through it. All right. To parallel park, you must find a suitable parking space that is longer than the vehicle by a few feet. Signal and position your vehicle parallel to the parked vehicles in front of the space. Check your mirrors and blind spots for any approaching traffic. Slowly reverse while turning the steering wheel fully to the right for left side parking, or left for right side parking. Keep an eye on your surroundings and continue to adjust the steering wheel as needed to position your vehicle evenly within the space. Once parked, straighten the steering wheel to ensure that you leave enough space between your vehicle and the cars in the front and behind. Have you been in a parallel park before?
Yes, I have.
Mm, technically,
The yeah.
I still have yet to legally do a parallel park. So that is not something that, at least if you go through our the same driving school that I went through, you will not be doing a parallel park. You eventually will be doing a K turn. However, maybe not on the driving test. I actually didn't end up doing a K turn, so that's pretty cool. Um, I, I I only technically needed to, you know, merge and turn, really.
We definitely have a couple of we definitely have a few like like streets here locally that we would have to do a parallel park.
I mean, probably, unless if you have like a drive through, or I mean, a driveway to do it. But yeah, um, I just said the next two. You pretty much already know what merging and turning is.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much, I'll give you the quicker version of merging anyway. Check your mirrors and blind spots to assess the flow of traffic that you want to merge into. Use your turn signal to indicate the direction, so right or left. Adjust your speed to match the flow of traffic. You don't want to slow down a lot or speed up too much. You kind of have to match the flow of the person behind or in front of you. Well, to the next lane over. So I guess diagonal of you. And so then you don't hit them.
Oh yeah.
So after you adjusted your speed, merge smoothly, maintaining a consistent speed and paying attention to the other vehicles around you. Of course, it's a little bit easier where we are because there's not too often a lot of traffic in a specific area. I mean, it does get busy, but it's not New York busy. It's not the city busy, where it's like you could barely find a way to do it. But
I mean, it's like moderately.
it has its rough spots, definitely. And once merged, cancel your turn signal and continue driving in that merged lane.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, at least with that one, turning. Um, this one, I'm gonna ask you straight up, how do you make a turn?
Well, it. How do I make a turn?
And go with what you're supposed to do, not what you're guessing. Try
Uh,
try to be try to tell me how to turn
you turn the.
100% 100% road law abiding.
Use your steering wheel and then turn to the direction you want to turn.
Is that it?
Yeah, and then well, of course, use your mirrors to make sure nothing's there. Just
Is
turn to
that it?
the. At least as of right now, I would say as of right now, yes.
Okay, I have to fail you then, because if I'm going to tell you something that you'll be seeing whenever you get your actual DMV test, whether you go through the same service that I went through or you go to the DMV to do it. Number one, like rule to kind of do when in doubt, just turn signal. You didn't even say anything about signaling,
No, I
so
was gonna. Well,
you
I was
automatically.
just about to say turn signal.
No. That's the first thing you do in a turn, though.
Yeah, the first thing you do is use a turn signal, and then you take your
You
turn.
can't. You can't say you were just about to say it because you didn't say it.
Uh, well, I know. Yeah, I know that now.
You better hope you know that for the actual test. But yeah, signal your intended direction using the turn signal. Check your mirrors and blind shots to ensure it's pretty much like marching, but you're actually turning. Make sure that you're able to turn. Slow down as you approach the turn, taking into account the speed limit and road conditions. Position your vehicle in the appropriate lane for the intended turn. Turn rather left or right. Keep your hands on the steering wheel and maintain a steady speed as you make the turn. And complete the turn, ensuring you stay within your lane and yield to pedestrians and other vehicles if required.
Mm. Well,
So you knew the theory of turning, but the first step, that is a crucial one. You gotta signal, but every single time you gotta signal pretty much.
yes, of course, that's obviously crucial.
So
And
I think I might. Hmm. I think I might do this next part a little bit differently from how I have it. Um, this next part, if I'm going off of this other tab,
mhm.
are all about road signs. Hmm. So the reason why I'm doing it a little bit differently is because we kind of went over some of them already. So I tell you what, I will name a sign. You'll tell me what color and shape it is and what it does. Like, why is it important?
All right.
All right, you're clear with the directions.
I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready for it.
Let's start simple. Stop sign.
Yep, it's an octagon. You stop, and of course, it's kind of like yielding, but you're stopping at a road.
What color is it?
It's red, and it's an octagon.
What color are the words on it?
It's white.
Cool. Okay, it requires drivers to come to a complete stop at the marked line or before entering the intersection. Okay. I need color, shape, and a general um, explanation of what a yield sign is.
A yield sign. It's black text. It's got red. It's red and white, and you look. Make sure you got the right of way.
Yeah, perfect. Those are like the three words right there, right of way.
Yep. And it's three sides. It's a triangle.
Yes, you give the right of way to vehicles or pedestrians already in the intersection
Mm-hmm.
or approaching from a different direction. Yeah. All right. Speed limit signs.
Mm. It's like a rectangular. It's like squarish. Yep. And then it's white. And well, it's pretty much what it sounds like. You have. I mean, speed limits. Yes, you can. It tells you. It's exactly what it sounds like. You can only go that speed or less, but from based on
Yes.
yeah.
What you are supposed to do is you cannot go faster
Although I
than
mean, all
on
yep.
paper.
I mean, there's still people that go just a little bit over the speed limit, but
Technically, with a lot of the police officers, they won't get you if you're, like 5 miles over the limit. Like that's okay, but on your test, make sure that you're actually not over the limit at all. Right? Like something cool with the speed limits is if you're unsure, a good general rule would be just try to go 30 miles an hour. Like if you're unsure of what the speed limit is, that's a safe one.
yeah.
Also, what color are the text on that?
Oh, it's black.
All right, perfect. All right, how about a no entry sign?
No entry.
The shape, color, or colors, and general idea of what it is.
Is it? Is it? I honestly can't. Honestly, I don't even really remember that as much. As much as
All
I've
right,
seen the very basic.
okay, neat. The no entry sign is basically red and white. Um, it is circular. Prohibits entry to vehicles in a particular direction. It indicates a one-way street or a restricted
Oh,
area.
oh, you mean wrong? You mean the wrong way sign?
No entry, but eh,
I know there's that wrong way sign. If you're going the, it's
the,
just what
the,
it's not.
the word for it is no entry, but it's pretty much the same thing. It is um,
Yeah.
one-way sign.
Yep. Yeah. This part you might need a subtitle.
Oh, how about a one-way sign?
A one way sign. It's like it's a like mostly it's really like a black arrow, but then there's a white highlight over the black text.
And what does it indicate?
It says, well, it's one way. You can only go that way. Can't
Yeah,
go the opposite.
that's an easy one. No parking sign.
Uh, I've seen them before. I feel like a lot of them are different, but they're all
Okay,
pretty.
yeah, to be fair, that is one of those things. So some of them can be white with red text. Some of them can be various different colors. I mean, I think the real one would be that white with red text. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'll be willing to say that I failed this one too. But essentially, it indicates where parking is prohibited. Drivers should not park in these designated zones.
Mm-hmm. I think it's like a brick reddish color. There's no parking signs,
And perhaps
but
the
it's definitely
last three,
all
the
right.
last, at least for this, um, about a no stopping sign.
No stop sign.
A no stopping sign.
A no stopping sign. Huh. It literally means no stopping.
For any reason, what color and shape?
I honestly can't really tell you because I don't know.
That's one of those white with red texts. I think I actually swapped what I thought the other one was. So maybe the no parking sign is what you thought. So it is that white with red text. It prohibits stopping, even for a brief period, except for emergencies or instructed by law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Last two, you already did a school zone sign, but do it again.
A school. Mm-hmm. It's literally one of those, like, I think it's like a yellow sign, and it shows like I think it shows like a stick figure of it shows a stick figure walking, and it says like school zone, I believe.
All right, what color?
Is it yellow with the
With black? Yeah,
it's like a silhouette.
right, yeah. Two little silhouettes right there, and they're kind of near like a crossing walk, it seems. Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It it prohibits stop it. Oh wait, no, I was reading the wrong one. School zone alerts drivers that you're in the presence of a school and requires reduced speeds during specific hours. And last but not least, for the signs, what does a railroad crossing look like, and what
Hmm.
does it do?
I think it's like a neon greenish, and then tells you, oh, you're gonna about to drive on a railroad. But then, well, I'll give it. I'm not gonna. Well, I can't really. I'm not gonna dox, but I know there's somewhere local to us that has like a railroad.
Let's say kind of close by to a certain high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know where you mean.
Mm-hmm. And then of course, the lights will flash if there's a train coming, and the thing will come down. So it means you have to stop
That's
until that.
interesting. That's interesting. You said lights. Not all of them have lights.
Not all of them, but there's those that do have, like, I think, red flashing lights when then that little stick thing comes down, telling, like, pretty much warning drivers, hey, there's a train coming, you can't pass here.
So that is sometimes the case. However, sometimes with railroad crossing, the reason why I have this as the last one is some of them are yellow signs with a big X in the middle with like R on the left and right side. And then some of them are literally like white planks that are in the shape of an X that have like some flashing lights or something.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why it was the last one that I said was just because it's a little bit more ambiguous. It's kind of different in different places. Mm. All right. When should you not listen to those signs?
Like, if there's not a train
Oh,
coming,
I'm not talking about railroad. I mean, I'm talking about all of the signs.
when should you not? If you're not driving, but if you're driving, you should, like, pay attention to the signs. Unless that was like a trick question.
I can see why you would think it's a trick question, but there are genuinely instances where it's okay to disobey what the sign says.
I mean,
Um, that'd be for police officer instructions.
you can, but that's if you want to get your license suspended.
No, you can if they tell you to. Just like I know it says it's a one way, but we have to tell you to go on this one way, right?
Wait,
Police officers. I'm not talking about like you're getting arrested. I'm saying they let you break what the sign says if they allow you to. You
is
are
this,
allowed you are allowed to disobey the sign if they tell you to.
or how about, is this like if there's like road work, you can go this way instead of the normal way?
If they tell you, right.
Yeah, yeah. So That's only so it's okay. So if the cops tell you, then
If an officer directs you to disregard a specific sign, it's generally necessary to comply with their instructions for traffic control purposes.
mhm.
Now, usually it's not to single out one person. Like, usually it's because maybe there is a big tree in the road, and they might tell you, you know what, you feel free to go in the oncoming side. Yeah, you might see that sometimes where it's like both directions are sharing one lane because there's something in the way, whether it's they're repaving or they're doing something with maybe a fallen tree in the road or something. They'll they obviously know that people need to get places, so they'll have that
Yeah,
sign holder that will flip it to say stop, and then on the other side slow, right? And then
yeah.
they'll flip it again after like a few cars pass by.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
I've been through those before. So, so like yeah, they have like they're courteous of people that they need to go places.
that's usually designated only to a police officer, at least in the States. I don't know what that type of thing is like overseas,
I can't imagine that they wouldn't, but
but
yeah.
yeah. Another instance where it is okay to disregard what all of those signs say is for other emergency vehicles. When an
Hmm.
emergency vehicle, such as an ambulance or fire truck, is approaching with flashing lights and sirens, it's crucial to give them the right of way, even if that means you're going in the wrong or in the what you think is the wrong way. You just gotta get out of their way. In such cases, you may need to move aside or adjust your driving to allow the emergency vehicle to pass by safely. Sometimes you physically can't do anything, and the safe option is actually just stay right there. Like put your brake on, just wait for them to go by. But that is only whenever they're flashing. Um, if there is like an emergency vehicle or police car that doesn't have flashing lights on, you treat them like a regular vehicle. Like they are just a regular big truck or they are just a regular car on the road until they flip on the sirens and the lights. They're normal.
Yeah, well, definitely. Yeah, then yeah, and if the siren's on up, you gotta pull over, because hey, this guy needs to go to the hospital. Like get out of the way.
Yep. And I mean, sometimes, it's a wrong thing to do, but sometimes what emergency workers will do, just because they want to get their, I don't know, their food earlier, they'll sometimes flip on the lights and the sirens just to make sure they're on time for their food. Sometimes they do it immorally, but overall, if you see the light or the sirens, just
Regard
get out of their way.
like just regardless of it, it's like you just do what you're told.
Yeah, really, because you don't know if it's because they're picking up their Chinese food or if they're picking up a Chinese person who is sitting with a concussion on the side of the road or something, right? Like,
You don't know that for you
you
don't
don't
know.
know, so better safe than sorry. Just stay out of their way if something is needed. Um, one more type of road sign, which I actually forgot about. Um, I'm not going to go into like a deep dive into this, but what do orange road signs typically mean?
Oh, like construction.
Perfect. You passed that test. Let's move on to the next portion.
Hmm. Perfect.
Um, there are some things that are out of your control when you're on the road, such as bad weather, another person's road rage, maybe a random thing rolling or running into the middle of the road. With bad weather, slow down. You should use your headlights. Be cautious. And plan ahead if you can. Like, if you know there's going to be a hurricane next week, maybe stay out of it. But sometimes you can't.
Well, if you
And
have to like go to the store, then yeah, you must follow the safety precautions.
in the terms of, no, in the case of road rage from another person, it's best to stay calm, avoid engaging with an
Don't even
aggressive
bother.
driver. What's this?
No, just don't even don't give them the satisfaction of responding.
Right, yeah. I mean, stay calm. You gotta avoid engaging with the aggressive driver or responding to their behavior.
Hmm.
Uh, Usually, I mean, it's ideal to have zero people being a maniac on the road, but it's better to have one person that's a maniac versus two or versus three,
Well,
right? So if there's one person that's a bad egg, you don't have to follow their influence.
yeah. Well, like
Do the right thing, and chances are you're golden. Of course, sometimes that's not the case, but a lot of the time, as long as you're doing okay, you're fine.
it's like yeah, of
Just
course of course we don't want people to road rage, but there's instances there are, and just don't even bother.
oh, like it happens, right? Um, you gotta stay focused on your own driving and maintain a calm demeanor. You should not retaliate. Do not retaliate.
Because
Avoid
well,
that.
because that's what they want.
Sometimes, oh, I mean, the only person who knows what they're thinking is themselves, right? You
Mhm.
don't exactly know if they're road raging or if they're maybe from a different country that operates like this. I know that in Thailand and India, it's like it's it's like if you haven't eaten anything, you will be throwing up your dinner, or you will be, you know, pooing your pants because they operate like wild
Mm.
in terms of driving. But you shouldn't retaliate. Avoid escalating the situation by retaliating. Yes, avoid escalating the situation by retaliating with aggressive stuff or even gestures. It's just best to disengage and distance yourself from the aggressive person. Secure your safety. If you feel threatened or unsafe, lock your doors, roll up your windows, consider changing lanes or pulling over to a safe location just to allow them to pass, right? Uh,
Hmm. Well,
Whenever, oh,
well,
go ahead.
it's like if you do retaliate, well, it's like yeah, you never know what they're gonna do. You just never know.
You, you never know, right? Like, honestly, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you might never know in a good way too. Like, maybe it's like they crash into you, not causing any damage at all, but you find your soulmate and you get married on the spot.
Mm.
You never know what they're thinking. They could be your stalker.
Yeah. Imagine then being like, imagine that, and then oh, how did mom and dad meet? Oh, we met in a road rage incident.
How I met your mother, right? She just crashed into my life, you know?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Totally.
Uh,
God.
it's like they have to have like the car horns
Hmm.
playing the wedding music, right? Like
It's.
beep, 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 beep. Right. You don't
Yeah,
need to do that again. It's too late to do that.
yeah. But yeah, all jokes aside, yes, don't even pour gas in the fire.
If you can manage that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. There's another sort of emergency thing that you can't really plan out ahead of time. When something either rolls or just runs out in the middle of the road, it's always best to stay alert, keep an eye out for potential hazards, including children playing near the road or maybe balls that might roll into the path. Anticipate. You got to slow down and be prepared to stop. If you see a ball or any object in the road, assume that a child may chase after it, or a dog, or whatever. Yield if necessary. If it's safe to do so, stop and allow whatever is in the road to do their thing, or clear the road before proceeding. In general, it's essential to prioritize your safety and the safety of others on the road. Stay focused, maintain a calm and defensive driving approach, and be prepared to adapt to unexpected circumstances. Remember, it's best to be productive and safe, proactive and take preventive measures whenever possible to minimize risks and navigate through these situations safely.
Mm-hmm. Yep, those are pretty much. Yep, those are pretty much. I mean, depending on who it is, yeah, you want to be prepared. Yeah, keep your eyes on the road. Don't text and drive.
That's important too. Don't be distracted by internal things as well. If you can help it, make sure that you don't shuttle around three dogs that all bark whenever they're driving because, well, the dogs aren't driving, but you know what I mean. Because sometimes you might already be in a bad mood, but then your dogs that, yes, you might enjoy their company, but you don't like that they're blaring their their heads off.
Yeah, I can just picture that.
Like now that I'm older, I understand how much of a nuisance I was as a passenger whenever I was like, 6 to, I don't know, 13.
Just from like the that range of age.
I mean,
Yeah,
around there, right? Like
yeah.
we were
Me,
annoying little shits, right?
we were definitely were.
Some of us still haven't grown out of that phase.
Yeah, some of us have. But just when we were young little kids, we just like now. I guess now that you're driving, now you can see how it could annoy you.
Oh God, right? So something I found out is like if a passenger is in the middle of a riveting conversation with me, I will speed up. Like
Hmm.
I just gradually increase my speed and then it's like, oh, I didn't even notice I was 10 over the limit. It's because they're just talking to me.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah. um I had a lot more to go over with, but you know what? You got the basics and this could technically maybe be like a part two or something way down the line. Like as soon as you get maybe your permit or something, or as soon as you get your yeah, part two can be
Like
pre-
when I get mine.
preparing for the license, right? That's what
Yeah.
part two could be. So with a lot of this knowledge that you've learned today, I do have one question for you.
Let me guess. Is it what did I learn with from this episode?
That's not what I was going to ask, but you know what? You can answer that one yourself if you want.
I mean, I do. I guess I now. I guess I. If anything, I think I guess I'm now paying more attention to the signs than I guess. I mean, I have, but now that after this, I think I'm just gonna think about the episode we just recorded.
Right. Assuming nothing goes wrong with it.
Yeah, but what was your initial question?
My initial question was actually going to be now that you've sat through, well, at the time of recording this, 1 hour, 43 minutes, and nearly 30 seconds, which it's probably less than that in the actual episode, maybe. But now that you've sat through a lot of information, are you more interested or less interested in the idea of possibly getting started this year?
If anything, I'm a little more interested
Yeah, you
than to
genuinely are.
drive. Yeah, but generally, I guess a little bit more interested. But even then, it's like I'm still gonna, regardless, I would still get my permit and I'll learn the stuff. But after this, I'll probably be looking back or like do a part two and then talk about my experience.
Right on, yeah. So yeah, our general game plan, which this I'm not gonna cut out because this is genuinely like a good thing to maybe keep an eye out for potential viewers slash listeners. Um, there will be a part two whenever, likely whenever Dom has his permit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think will be the part two, in which I might ask like, oh, how helpful was re-listening to us two knuckleheads talking about things? Like, I mean, I genuinely told you how my process of the permit test went, and if you go to the same DMV, chances are it's going to be the same exact type of thing. So I'm curious to see if my process is a lot different from how your process will go. Um,
Yeah, of course.
I
Like
mean,
every school has their own different course. I mean, they're really, of course, they follow probably whatever standard the state has, but of course, they have their different characteristics.
and of course, depending on even which DMV you use, sometimes the location matters, and it's like, oh, you don't need to parallel park here, but maybe if you went to this location, that's one of the things we'll judge you on. It might depend. So that being said,
Hmm. Been a, I guess, has this been a fabulous journey?
that being said, thank you for joining me on this journey of trying to get your permit started, and thank all of you over here now, the audience. Thank all of you for joining us on this episode of the DomJake podcast. We
And
hope you enjoyed our exploration into the dragon world
yeah,
and found our insights helpful. I hope we didn't drive you crazy this time.
yep, and definitely feel free to comment about your experience if you have any.
Regardless if that experience was 60 years ago or 2 days ago.
So, yeah, I'm think I'm ready to drive at this point. Well, no, I mean, legally not yet.
Well, you gotta do that first 8 hour course, then permit, then yeah, you get the idea. I said all of that.
Yeah.
But another thing everyone should do is feel free to like this, subscribe, comment like he said, share this with people actually. That's something we haven't said.
Mm.
And click on that little ring-a-ling ding notification bell.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like we said in our last video, or the other one, I don't remember, we definitely have other things planned out that you should keep an eye out for.
Yep, as a matter of fact, we do have something pretty soon that we plan to get done. Can't wait to get that out for you guys.
Right now, we only need lav mics, or lav mics, however you say it. But the
Mm.
ones you clip onto your shirt. That's all we need.
But hey, since now you have your license, we could probably go to Best Buy or something to look for some if there's any.
True. I mean, well, technically, okay. I have my license, sure, but I don't have my own car.
Mm.
So if I crash whoever's that I'm using, I can't exactly be insured for it because I'm not on their car insurance or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. Probably not a good idea then.
Well, regardless, you did say that you were more interested in starting the path. So,
Well,
do you think you're gonna possibly use the same service as we did?
mm, well, not super
It's right
sure.
next to your gas station. It's like right there.
If maybe. Whatever, I
It's
guess,
very
whatever
convenient.
I mean, whatever I use is, I guess, it'll work. But, as of right now, I'll probably find out. But until then, I'm looking forward to it.
And with that being said, let's let's uh let's exit this car. Make sure that the key is out of the ignition. Make sure that we're in park,
Yes,
and we
definitely.
can we can unbuckle, get out of this vehicle, and
Make sure your
hey,
emergency brake is on.
our destination is on our right.
Hmm. And oh,
Thanks for joining us.
yep.
Off-road recalculating.